Where'd all that trash talk go, DJ? From before the game? Where'd that go?
I can't wait till we start doing live so people can see how horribly that went. Final score: Custodes 98,
98.
Necrons 47. I want a rematch.
Oh, you did.
I am angry. I am extra angry. That was.
Well, don't be angry at me. You need to be angry at your dice.
I'm mad at you.
First,
I'm mad at you.
The dice were definitely in my favor today. All right, you just hold on to your pumpkin if that makes you feel better. Nope. I can't do this if you're touching your pumpkin. Go put it away. No, but the dice were definitely in my favor.
In your favor, that was an absolute horrific nightmare. Secondaries, I mean, like, I am one that I would not like to make up excuses that the secondaries were trash. Like, I went from needing to get into your deployment zone or center field to needing to get in your deployment zone or center field back to back.
Yeah.
And then it was just from the get-go. First, I'm going to put 6 of these heavy gauze into your tank. I need 3, and I fail to kill it right off the rip. And I mean, granted, the tank was a non-factor for most of the game. But then then we start getting into like the combat and the shooting. It's like, okay, so I need to stick this charge. I need a 6. I roll a 3. And it went from a point where literally my charges started over here. I rolled a 4, then a 3, and then a 2. And from that point, everything else, I did twice this game. Did I roll triple ones? Twice.
Oh, yeah. That was hilarious with the Scorpack Lord in the middle failing.
Horribly.
3 2-up saves.
Horribly. Now, I will say this. There was definitely a couple of things that I would play differently going into Custodes the second time. The biggest thing is, don't mess with Trajan. Just don't mess with Trajan. Like, there is really, like, literally, there is absolutely no reason to ever be messing with Trajan.
He slaps. He hits pretty hard.
It's not what he does. It's everything else he gives.
Well, he
does, and he does. He has the perfect stat line to kill anything in my army.
Well, the moment Shackle, in this game, I chose to use the fight first, which was great.
Yep.
If I had charged you, I could pop off that he just gets 12 attacks.
Yep.
12 attacks,
shouldn't have bothered
10,
with him with the score. I shouldn't have bothered with him going into the score packs. Once you dedicated over that position, I should have just wheeled out of there. I think he and the Custodes and everything over there ate so many of my resources that it wasn't worth it. Now, the Locust Heavies with the Eradicators did better than I was expecting. I thought the AP1 was going to be the kind of a weakness for them, but being able to veil and get around the cover,
their volume eventually gets through.
Yeah, they did well. I wasn't disappointed with them. I was mostly just disappointed. Like, there was a lot of plays. I'm like, okay, this could work. I can do this and make this happen. And you know what? Honestly, it all should have worked. My dice just decided to say, nah, we're not going to do this today.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that was tough. Very tough. And honestly, if you're okay with it, since we have Thanksgiving coming up, and probably not a lot of time to set up armies and stuff like that, I want a rematch. I'm not happy. I am very unhappy.
Oh, my undefeated.
Dude, you can tweak it. You can tweak it, but I want the Custodes again. I want a rematch with the Custodes because that don't sit well with me.
Right.
That don't sit well with me at all. And I'm not going to change my list because I don't think it needs to be changed.
Okay.
I think I need to go sit down with my dice and yell at them for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And
well, I think I also, if I could offer you some constructive criticism, I think in this one you were spread out too much early because I think you went for this objective. Did you go for that objective?
I did.
Yeah. So the part of what happens, I was able to kill things off of objectives, and being in this mission, you only need to hold 2 until the end of the game. I think you're maybe spread a little bit too thin.
I agree. Yeah. I completely 100% agree.
Because you had Ophidians here.
It was that early engage on all fronts that got me into that. If I didn't see engage on all fronts as early as I did,
Yeah.
It might not have done that, and then I started to get in the mindset of it, so it did pull me too thin. Because then, like you said, like I was okay. If I had more resources, I could have picked up Trajan.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if I had those resources, like the Scorpex squad over there,
Yeah.
I could have picked up this, could have picked up that. So
Yeah.
I agree.
I kept you to 5 every turn.
In the
so
Custodian
you would get out
matchup,
on them, and then I just knock it back off.
in the Custodian matchup with the MSU, I needed to wheel and play it more constructively over there.
Yeah. Because really all you need to do in this mission, where you only score 10 holding 2 objectives, you just need to hold 2 objectives and then play your secondary game around it. But it also makes me think of something else. I've been, listening to some podcasts and watching YouTube. So there seems like there's more people that are taking fixed objectives more often. I think initially with 10th edition, a lot of people were just doing tactical all the time. But sometimes building a list around fixed makes more sense because you were also, you were secondaries, you only scored 12?
Yeah,
On
I couldn't.
secondaries?
Well, yeah, because
Oh, no,
all my
17,
all my
17.
secondaries, like I couldn't see anything good at all. All right, continuing, quick little loss of power there, and yeah, it was a bit of an intense game. So yeah, I did not do well on secondaries at all.
Yeah, a lot of that comes down to luck, but I think maybe you're missing some of the scoring units or the utility units that you've often had in your lists.
Well, no, I do have all the scoring units and utility units. I think the biggest issue was, and we were discussing this, is how thin I spread myself. This is another time where I should not have gone as deep into Trajan. I lost Locust, I lost Scorpex, I lost Ophidians all over there, where if I had used those units over on the other side, might have been different. But I also, as stated, man, my dice were sour.
Mm-hmm.
So I want a rematch.
Yeah, I know you do.
I want a rematch.
I think I'm going to make you earn it, though. I think you got to do something to earn a rematch. You can't just declare you want a rematch. I got to keep this trophy for a week or 2.
Heck no. You did not win our Halloween matchup, so this stays with me. You have next year. You can try again.
And this win was definitely not pumpkin related.
I am the Pumpkin King. So what do I got to do? What do I got to do? Because I don't feel like I deserve a rematch after the countless victories with this army.
I can count them. It's 2.
The countless devastating victories with this army. I think I earned that second chance.
Okay, you want to play my Death Guard?
Is that what I have to do to get to this? I have to get through your Death Guard first?
Sure, yeah. Every time I build a Death Guard list, I build the most memey, goofy thing. It's either just all vehicles or all Poxwalkers or whatever. But I've been kind of working on something more competitive with them. Plague Marines are really good. They have a lot of play. Their abilities are interesting now. So I've been wanting to try some things out. I just painted up 3 rhinos so I can do some Rhino Rush with Plague Marines. So,
all right, fine. We'll see it your way. So next week, I'll take on your Death Guard. And after I whoop your Death Guard, then I can come back and whoop your Custodes and get my revenge.
Sure. Yep.
That's what's going to happen.
Okay.
No, that's what's going to happen, Dice.
Yeah. Don't talk to me.
Don't do that again. Don't do that again. Twice, triple once. Twice.
I do believe last week with my little baby Hearthguard, I got 15 hits with plasma with sustained hits. All I needed were 2s to wound, and I rolled 8 1s on 15 dice. I believe I had the worst dice roll of my life last week. So,
this is probably mine. That
they did you no favors. And I was
horrendous.
definitely benefited from
that. Was horrendous, absolutely horrible. And then the cards as well. Seriously, the secondaries were just nope. If I really feel though, in all honesty, even with the terrible dice rolls, if I hadn't gone as deep with engage on all fronts, that was the play that lost me the game.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to hit. I should have just dropped the Hexmark down, who was not going to do very much this game. Got the simple 3/4, put everything else over, made sure I secured that objective, because that was a big thing. I didn't secure that objective.
Yeah, 2 or 3 units on the...
Just to make so that you would have been okay, I can't really go into this. I can't dedicate in this. Waited for the Venatari to hit the table and remove them. And there was seeing them and seeing a lot of the stuff that was going, through my head. I wish I could correlate and respond to what was going on in those moments. A lot of it was in my own accountability for it, a misread.
Yeah.
I misread how hard the Venatari were going to hit. I looked at them and said, 3 dudes. Okay, I'll pick them up. And if I had walled out better, I could have probably hit you with the 6 score peck instead of me getting hit, which hurt a lot. And, I expected, again, I didn't expect that the one squad of Venatari was going to pick up 5 score packs by itself. I was expecting, okay, you hit me, I reanimate. Then you hit me again, left with a couple, reanimate, turn around and clear at least one squad of Venatari. Instead, they just sent me packing fast.
Yeah, we talked about last week with my Votan. A lot of my weapon profiles were just not good into this list because a lot of times I was wounding 05s because they're not infantry, so anti-infantry stuff doesn't work, but they're T6, so you need to put high vehicle shots in it. But this week the Venatari were perfect. They're strength 7 into your T6, and they got +1 to wound on the charge. So I was putting out a ridiculous number of damage with him.
It's definitely something to think about. So I gotta really reevaluate that into the scenario because, like, going into, like you said, going into your Votan and going into your Iron Hands, I was able to take the units and go 1 for 1 with you a lot easier. And going into this, I was not able to go 1 for 1 with you. So into this style and going into Custodes, and I'm not sure what other ones that would be mirroring this, but Death Guard might actually mirror that in a sense. I definitely need to make sure I'm doubling and tripling up on stuff and make sure that I have extra units going into positions to do certain things.
Yeah.
And that was one thing. This is the first time that with this list that I've seen that opposite side of things. So that's something I need to keep in my mind is like, okay, looking at some of these durable units and competitively when I go into a tournament, if I see a Custode or something else that's a smaller build, the Space Marines with like the Black Templar Crusader squads, going into those smaller, more elite builds, I'm not going to be able to spread out as thin and cover as much of the field. Maybe in the Crusader build, might be able to like just wherever that unit's going. But again, I think that's a similar concept with Trajan. Wherever that unit's going, just leave it alone. Trajan is just value with whatever unit he's with. And the best way to shut him down is to give him nothing to work with. And I just gave him, I let him go to work.
Right.
Literally, I let him just go to work. I just kept feeding him things and he just went, okay, next. Okay. Next.
Again, that damage profile for him was perfect because it's strength 10, 6 attacks, AP 2, but flat 3 damage. And he had so much stuff with just 3 wounds. It's like, picks up 3 guys just like that.
Yep. And then when I go over to the stuff that's 2 damage, that would have been a much more secure. Like, even when I brought the Locust, the heavies down, because I was considering this very strongly, not bringing the Locust heavies over. When you hit me over here, I still had the Locust heavies in the backfield. And I was really, really considering just leaving them there and putting that entire squad shooting all into you. Yes, you would have gotten cover, but just the volume would have reduced them down. And now hindsight, I think that would have been the better play to just move the Locust heavies up, pour the shots into one squad of Venatari. Probably wouldn't have killed them because, again, you would have gotten 2 up saves versus that. Maybe picked with the volume of shots, maybe picked up 1 and damaged the other. Locust score pack charges in, finished off the Venatari. Hopefully, being optimistic here, my dice wouldn't have liked that idea.
Yeah.
But considering what they did when you had -1, it doesn't seem too unlikely that they could have picked up the Venatari. Then the score pack lord charges in, finishes off the Venatari, whatever was remaining, and now that's 1 down. And then the other, that was a single dude in the middle. And then we had the one other squad, which I was able to pick up the other one. So it would have been down to 1 Venatari model as opposed to 2 single Venatari models, which by the end of the game were still functioning and doing stuff. So I feel like that would have been as well. And that goes back to what you said, not stringing myself out too thin. Granted, that Locust heavy squad did a lot of heavy lifting. Especially, they did shoot down the squad. They did move into the center. They did do some work for me, but I could have still done that on turn 3, picking up with the Veil and putting them out there and getting in the middle. And once that Blade Guard squad came in here, there's a beautiful, beautiful spot right here on the map that would have been 9 inches away that I could have just looked right at that squad with that blade guard and poured all their shots into it and done a lot more damage. And as we saw, that squad wasn't that threatening. Like, it was scary because I'm just it was in my head since the beginning of the game. Like, this squad can come out of here rushing, screaming, advancing, charging, and doing all this extra work, and just it hurt me so bad.
Well, the wardens, their thing is more their durability because they're -1 to wound when they're led by a character, and then once per game I can pop off the 4-up feel no pain, which I didn't even really use this game until turn 5, just
because you could.
Yeah, if you had brought the heavy destroyers in there and tried to shoot them a whole bunch, I would have popped that at that point. Yeah. So again, they're not as they don't hit as hard as Venatari, but they stick around a lot.
But then in that point, it would have been more bodies, a lot more bodies, and then that would have go back over to what you were saying, because then I would have been able to just bodies on that objective, and I would have held that for the entire game, and then it would have become once you said, like you said, a game of secondaries. Which in this case, I still would have lost the game of secondaries because I could not get anything that would have didn't. The whole game wanted me to sit in your deployment zone, and I could not do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have still probably taken me on the secondaries, but at least I would have scored better on the primaries initially in that sense. And then, maybe done better for some of the secondaries, considering if I would have controlled that section better. And I didn't control that at all. Anytime I took the objective, you immediately took it back before I could score it. I was constantly on my heels for the objective that should have been very easy for me since it was in my zone. I was constantly on my heels for it, and I could never really secure it. Yeah. And at best, what I could do returning to you was make you have to knock me back off of the objective again, and I wasn't able to hold it and sustain it. I mean, on the opposite end of it, though, too, I'm going to look back over, especially when I edit the video, and I'm curious on this, as we talk about it. We talk about the fact of me taking the easy objective over there closest. What if I would have pushed everything into it? Yes, Trajan's there, but what if I put more heat into that objective? I was looking at the Locust Heavies and where I had them and where at the line of sight, it really was kind of poor. And if I move the Locust Heavies along in front of me and along this angle, I could have been lighting up that objective all game long from a decent position, and Trajan getting hit by flat 6 damage shots, that eventually could put him on his butt.
Yeah, then you can have that objective, and I just take that one. That's this mission is you hold 2. You just got to hold on to 2. You don't have to hold on that many till the end of the game. So
right, and I just wonder though if putting into that objective and then building a base and a flank off here might have been able to threaten your home field and then play on those secondaries better that wanted me to get in your zone. Now at least I would be in a presence for that too.
Yeah.
So I want to look back and see if that would have even been plausible necessarily. That might have been the better way to go with it instead. But to a testament of what you said, that's where it needed to be. I strung myself out too thin, I covered the entire center, and I couldn't hold it. So I needed to pick a spot to hit and hit that spot. And if I was going to hit here and going to put stuff into here, I needed to put everything into here. The Locust Heavies, the Scorpex should have been wheeling this way, everything, and just brought everything onto that objective and taken that away from you. And then, like you said, you would have then moved over here and taken that objective. I mean, you did have the guys that could have rushed out into here, but at least now I can make you make plays. I don't know. I have to look over it and see how some of that stuff would have been. But it's something I'm thinking in my head is like, what if I would have put a lot of pressure on you over here? Could that have changed things in that aspect? And then it's, as well as we're talking about it, there was, getting that firing lane. Like, were my Locust Heavies just in a really bad position? That's something I want to look over and see if I could have gotten them in a better position, to do stuff, or if maybe I should have put them in strategic and brought them on the board edge and been able to just get straight line of shots into stuff, and try and draw better angles. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at that a little more and kind of let that one digest a bit. Because I'm not happy with that. Now I have to get through your stupid Death Guard to get back to your stupid Custodes.
Not stupid Death Guard. They're gross Death Guard.
Stupid.
If you're gonna insult them the right way.
Stupid Death Guard. Well, that's good, but that's gonna be interesting. You have the ability to knock away my save a bit, so that's gonna hurt. That definitely will hurt on some of the stuff. But I do have 3 wounds, which I didn't see very much on the multi-damage weapons
No,
from Death Guard.
I don't know how well it's going to hit into this list. Again, I think the damage profile that you have here.
Hey, I was confident that I was gonna beat up the Custodes. I really thought I was gonna beat up the Custodes.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought the Venatari would do well. I knew they would do well. I didn't know how the rest of the army would do, and it just
They were the MVP. They won. They single-handedly won the game for you with what they did and how they hit, and the fact that they hit, stuck, and didn't go away. It just, I mean, when you have a unit that hits that early and sticks around, it actually gives me alarming concerns for things like Space Wolves, because that's kind of something that Space Wolves can do. So after I beat your Death Guard, when we get our rematch in Custodes, if I can't wallop them and really be able to handle that, then that leads me into some concerns with things like Space Wolves. But as we all know, we'll be running on kind of a time clock for this, because I believe it's December 9th when the Necron Codex will hit. So all this will be going away anyways.
Right. What have we learned? It'll all be thrown out.
Yeah. I mean, and that's also a consideration too. That kind of makes me wonder if maybe,
Although it doesn't seem like they're changing data sheets much. It's just giving you other options for detachment. So we'll see.
Yeah, but they might change up some of the points.
Yeah.
So, guys, honestly, actually, we'll do this. Next week, you're going to be bringing the Death Guard.
Sure.
In the comments section, for those who watch, should I play Grey Knights? Or should I try and run the Destroyer Cult? Because one thing definitely is, especially with that, like, the Codex release, it could change a lot of the list. It could buff the list. And, after getting smacked by the Custodes like this, maybe you need to go back, lick our wounds, and come back with a new Codex and the Destroyer Cult. So it might, and that's actually, like, as we're talking about thinking, I'm like, man, I could just play my Grey Knights out until that December 9th day, and, switch it up just a little bit, because after that, I'm going to be playing Necrons a lot, and there's a lot to go through.
Yeah, no, if we play Necrons right now, it's got a pretty short shelf life, because it's all going to change. Maybe if it's
I don't think I'm not even going to get a tournament before that hits.
Yeah.
Yep. So, all right, guys. Well, that's going to be it. Sorry to all my cronies out there. My dice, just playing my dice. Just playing my dice, and that was absolutely horrendous for the side of it. I'm glad I didn't record the dice rolls as much as Lane wanted me to. You should record that. No.
That's great.
No. But yeah, let us know in the comments section. Should maybe hold off with the rematch and all that stuff. But I'll give you what you deserve. I'll give that chance. I want to smack your Custodes with my Necrons, but we can wait. We can wait a week or 2 weeks, maybe. Might be 2, because December 9th.
I think it's pre-order next week, and then I think it's a 2-week pre-order now. So yeah, December 9th is probably about right.
So we would probably have, yeah. So let us know in the comments section. Maybe throw Grey Knights down next week and hold off on the rematch and all that stuff for a minute. But as always, still fun to play. Love playing my Warhammer. I just really honestly wish that some of those stuff would have actually stuck a little bit better. There was a couple cool epic moments that was like, oh, when he gets in there and 3 1s. And I couldn't buy a save.
It happens.
Need to save. It's like, oh, I just need to save 1. Fail. Okay. All right. Well, that happened. So, yes, it does. And as I always say this, it's better to have it happen here than in a tournament.
Right.
Always. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully some of the Custody fans out there got a kick out of Cult getting punched in the face hard. And don't worry. As the 3rd edition Necron Codex said, we'll be back. Guys, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.